Hello everybody, it's Jayma Malney. I finally did it. I killed my scrapbooking kit. This was the Wonderland scrapbooking kit from Close to My Heart, and I created 11.5 layouts. Some are 1 page and some are 2 page, and 22 cards. The layouts all have process videos, so I am going to link the entire playlist in case you want to go watch any of those if you missed them. But I'm going to walk you through all of the layouts I created and the cards in just a moment. But first, I wanted to mention a giveaway. I happen to have an extra paper pack for this collection. It's got this full 12 by 12 sticker sheet and one of each of the patterns of paper. So this is all the same paper that was in my scrapbook kit, but my scrapbook kit had some extra bits and bobs, and those are all shown in the first video. But here is a close-up of all that paper. So there's 2 of each of these. They are double-sided, and I would love to give this to one of you. This is open for US only. I'm sorry, the postage is just too crazy outside the US. But to be entered to win, all you need to do is leave me a comment and let me know which one of these layouts is your favorite. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So here is layout number 1, and I had so much fun with this because I did some foiling. I got the Spellbinders Glimmer machine not too long ago, and this was my first layout, actually the only layout I've done using this so far, and it was super fun. This layout actually has flip-flaps. So I've already put them on, but the way this works, and I took them out just so that you wouldn't have the glare, is you put the layout inside here, and before you put the flip-flap on, you'll put the layout inside and then attach the flip-flap. It's just as easy as peeling off the sticker from the back, folding it down, and sticking it right on there. And the process video for this layout shows that. And there's one for this one as well. I've already got another layout in the back of it because I had it in my album and then realized, oh, I need to do my share. So there is layout number 1. Here's layout number 2, and in this one I added a new color that's not in the kit. I really like how this dark sapphire blue looked with everything. So I also added some of the die cuts from the kit, inked around the edges of them. I added some of my own die cuts because I love embellishing with snowflakes, and I have a snowflake die. So this is where that half page comes in. I've got this, which is called a Pocket Plus. This is obviously the 4x6 portrait orientation. It also comes in a version where there's 4x6 landscape orientation, and then you can also get 3x4 portrait and landscape orientation Pocket Plus pages. So I'll have all of the main products that I use linked down below because these are super popular and super fun, and just another way to add more photos instead of flip-flaps. Although I did also use flip-flaps on this page. So on this side here, we've got the 2 photos that are going to go on top of these once I put them in the page protector. And then this side does not have any pocket flip-flaps. So that is layout number 2. Here's layout number 3, and I love how this came together, but it wasn't so in the beginning. This is an example of persevering through your layouts even when you don't like them. I wasn't liking these circles over here. Something about it just was off. Wasn't liking it. And then once I added this circle sticker over here to tie in the circles over here and bring it across the page, I liked it a lot more. So you can watch the process for this. The only thing I added after the process was this little felt mitten. I had it left over after I finished everything and thought, oh, I can add it right there. So that is layout number 3. Layout number 4 is a non-snow theme and just a single page. So I took this, all of the non-snow theme papers, and cut a bunch of flowers with them. I'm pretty obsessed with this layered flower die set. There's just so much to play with, and they layer up beautifully. So that's what I used on this layout. I was missing some footage for this process video, but there is still a video up where I explain everything that I did. Here's another single page layout that I created, and I used this background paper from the kit, and then I pulled a whole bunch of stickers and embellishments from my stash. I went way deep diving into my stash and had a lot of fun with this one. This has a lot of fun little layers and embellishments, and it's just so fun. I love doing lots of layers on my layouts. And there's lots of gold foil and glitter that's just so sparkly, right up my alley. So there is a process video for this. So this layout was completely designed in Cricut Design Space, and almost everything here was cut on my Cricut. What I did use from the kit were these little snowflakes. These were the die cuts that were in the scrapbooking kit, but everything else was cardstock or pattern paper. There's a little bit of wood grain paper back here that I cut on my Cricut. So this one was super fun. I really don't use my Cricut often enough for completely designing a whole layout. But it was so fun to see, because you can visually see what it's going to look like on the screen before you cut it. And I also followed a sketch loosely with this, so that information is in the video. Here's my last layout to share before we get to the cards. I cut the title out using my Cricut, and then all of these little dainty purple snowflakes were die cuts from the kit, as well as these little flurries. I added a few pocket cards, and there's also a flip flap for this page. So if we slide this inside here, then you can see how that flip flap works. And again, on all of these process videos, I showed how to attach the flip flap in case you haven't done that before. So I probably could have created quite a few more layouts with what I had left over, but I was a little tired of this color palette for layouts. So I have lots more snow pictures, but I'm going to be using other paper collections for those. So I got to work on cards, and I created 22 of them. All right, we'll just go through the pile here, and then at the end I'm going to show you what I have left of the kit. There's very little. All right, so I made a couple of Christmas cards. These two are very similar, using what I had left of this paper. What I tried to do was use a bunch of die cuts that I had. So I have tons of these reindeer die cuts in my stash. Whenever I cut something and I don't use it, I have a little die cut drawer that I add things to, and so that's what I was trying to pull from. I used a lot of the little houses and the little church, it looks like, and these die cuts that were left over from the kit for this one. These are die cuts left over from the kit as well, and then I stamped this Merry Christmas, and it has a coordinating die cut from a Christmas stamp set that I am loving. You'll see this same stamp multiple times because it's a great one. It just fills a lot of space. I used 3 more snowflakes that were left over from the kit and some of that purple swirly paper. Here's that reindeer again. I told you I have tons of him. Another little die cut, and this Merry Christmas again. This background paper is really busy, and I didn't use a lot of it really in any of the projects I did. So I used it as the background here and then covered a lot of it up with this die cut shape, which again was from my stash. I don't think I cut any die cuts specifically for these cards. I just used what was left over. Actually, I take that back. I cut this one. But this one, I already had this dots background that was cut for another project I didn't use. And this one turned out fun. I was wondering how I was going to use this ice skating sticker because I don't have any ice skating photos, but it looks cute on this card. These, of course, are very non-traditional Christmas cards, very non-traditional colors, but it's really fun. So this one I used a die. This slimline die cuts out this outline, plus it has 3 of these stitched kind of ruffled border things, and it's really fun for just a clean and simple card. I added this paper from the kit to the background just because I had a lot of it left, but you don't even need the paper. You could just leave it white and it would look really pretty. And I used up these felt shapes. Here is another one. I had a bunch of these flowers left over from one of the layouts. And then these little guys are actually stencil film. So I have a stencil that I cut myself on my Cricut out of stencil film. and there were a bunch of these leaves cut out, and I saved them because I thought those kind of look like vellum. I could use them somewhere, so I just tucked them in there behind there. There's actually a stamped snowflake back there too as kind of the base, and then I had this holographic heart outline in my die cut stash, so I just used up a whole bunch of die cuts on this one. And then this right here is one of the slimline dots dies, and I just cut the slimline die like this and used the other part somewhere else. Here's one that I created that is non-Christmas. So I created a bunch of Christmas ones, and then I created a bunch of non-Christmas ones. I had this cute little fairy already colored in my stash. It looked great with this paper, so I created this card. I had all of these stamped images already colored in my stash as well, and this little butterfly, so I just kind of clustered them together. Here's that stencil I was telling you about. I stenciled some white paper with that stencil that I had created, and then layered on some flowers and a little butterfly. I had lots of this paper left because the back of this paper was the really busy, this one right here, and I didn't use a lot of that because it was so busy, so I used a lot of the other side. So I had a lot of this because I didn't use much of the other side. But these were all stamped and embossed already, and I colored them to match this card. This one is very similar, and I've got some of that little stencil film peeking out again. Now we're getting down to more scraps. I just used some strips in the background of this one and created a little flower cluster mixed in with some snowflakes. I made this a thank you card because I send tons of thank you cards to my customers and to lots of people, and so this one is one that I'll send as we get closer to winter again because it's got the snowflakes. Here's another one I used. Here is a spoiler alert. This is a new doily die cut that is part of the May special from Close to My Heart, and there's a really big doily too. In fact, I'm going to show it to you because I have it right here. Look at how pretty that is. So those are part of an upcoming special, and I used it as a base for this flower. And here's another one with lots of scraps in the background. This is one of my go-to designs when I have a lot of scraps to use, because you can use just a lot of strips lined up in the background, and then you can put whatever you want on the front. I layered up some of these flowers I had left over. I really love how this one turned out. Again, getting down to the little tiny scraps, I chose the ones that have like the purples and grays. I used a stencil in the background, a flower or a star stencil, and then I used this Stickles glitter gel through it and let it dry, and it created that really fun background. And again, this stamp set that I'm really enjoying. I thought I would show you this stamp set since I've used it so much. It's got some really great icons and a couple of good sentiments. This is actually the Scrapbooking stamp and die set for Jingle Joy. It is still available though, I believe, and I'll link it below if it is. But it's got all of these fun stamps, and there's coordinating die cuts. So everything that has the blue outline here has a coordinating die cut. And then I also used this stamp set. I used this sentiment on some of those first cards, so I thought I'd show that to you. And I use these poinsettias a lot. In fact, a lot of times I use just the dies without the stamping, but that's another great set, and it also has the coordinating dies. So just thought I would show those to you in case you need some good Christmas sets. So here's another one with that sentiment, and I did some of that stenciling in the background. Now we are down to just tiny little scraps. I used a few of the little scraps here on the left, and then anchored the sentiment with the ones crossing on the right. I had this little banner left over from one of the die cuts, and use that doily again. And then that layered flower set, it's got a lot of big flowers, but I used some of the flower centers. So these little spiky ones are from the center of this, and then I used some of these smaller centers just to create a little small flower because I just wanted small ones. So I think that ended up looking cute. All right, I'm going to show you these last two together because they use the same technique. I had so many tiny little scraps that I just fit them all together like a puzzle on the background here, and then I had enough for half a card here to create these cards. And again, use some of those little tiny pieces from the inside of those dies, and that is it. Before I reveal under here what's left of my kit, I want to remind you of the giveaway for this paper pack and sticker sheet. All you need to do is comment down below which layout was your favorite. And this is only open to US residents. Sorry guys, but I will leave the giveaway open until next Thursday at midnight, and I will draw a winner on Friday and go from there. So I will leave all the details down in the description below. So let's see what is left. All right, this is all the paper I have left, just these tiny, tiny little scraps. I've got a few die cuts from the die cut sheets, and then a few stickers. And then I've got these dots. I didn't use all of my enamel dots, but I use these all the time. So I'm just going to add them to my stash with my other enamel dots. This was a journaling sheet that had a little bit of a banner down here, which I had cut off and used somewhere else. But this just didn't fit with any of my layouts because of the lavender. It didn't fit with anything that didn't have lavender, and so I will just stick this in my stash and save it for later. These are a couple of the flower centers that I had die cut with those flower dies, and I'll probably just toss that. I'm totally okay tossing these little scraps now. I've got these little word stickers or die cuts here that were supposed to go on this layout. So this was the original layout that I just put the most wonderful time, and then I have of the year left. So I'm okay tossing those. I don't think I'll use those again. And again, this is a sheet that comes in the scrapbook kit. So it gives you some layouts and cutting instructions to create those layouts and assembly tips. So that's what comes in the scrapbook kit, and I sort of followed a little bit of it loosely, but then I love just using these kits for my own thing. I also had this little piece of a journaling box left over. I'm going to toss that. This sticker had a little snowflake on the end, and I cut that off and used it on one of my cards. So I am okay tossing that. And then I've got these two stickers left, which I'm going to save in my stash because I'm sure I can use this Remember This somewhere. It just didn't fit on these layouts. And then want to build a snowman for a future snowman layout. So these are what I'm keeping. I'm okay tossing these, and that is the kit killed. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found some inspiration. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for upcoming scrapbooking videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.